Every moment of our life is shaped by karma, from the warmth of family to our spiritual paths. The joy we feel, the challenges we face, and the people we meet are all woven from our past actions. But is karma just about fate, or do we have the power to change it? In this satsang, we'll explore the bond between karma and family life. Learn the secret to living without creating new karmas. Discover how to turn every action into a step toward freedom and peace. This isn't just philosophy. It's a way to live, love, and rise higher, right here, right now.
This satsang is about the role of karma in family and spiritual life. First of all, we need to understand what is karma and how many types of karma are there. A person cannot even live without karma. Life is impossible without action. Whether you live in a family, at a workplace, or in a spiritual life, karma plays an extremely important role. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has divided karma into several categories. We can call them karma, akarma, sukarm, nishkarm, and vikarm. In both spiritual and family life, if you are in the state of akarma, then there will be no suffering in your life. Now, understanding akarma is very simple, but walking on that path is very difficult. The real meaning of akarma is this: whenever you perform an action, whatever reaction the other person has to that action, there should be no reaction from your side to their reaction. In other words, you performed an action, and you became zero, empty. This akarma is, in fact, true ahimsa, non-violence. The aim is that you did not react, you did not cause harm. You only acted. Violence happens when you cause suffering to someone. Now, if you look at family life, you live with your wife, with your children, with your parents. This family, these souls who have come to you in physical form, actually have some connection with your past lives. It hasn't happened by accident. The kind of wife you got, the kind of children you have, the type of brothers and sisters, or the parents you have, all of them have come into your life to give you the results of whatever karma you did with them in your past life. If you understand this, your life will become much easier. Why easier? Because if the people in your family treat you well, fine. If they don't treat you well, if they misbehave, you won't feel resentment in your heart if you realize, this is only the fruit of my past life's karma. If this is completely clear to you deep within, if you truly feel it, then you will have no ill will towards them, and you will give no reaction to their actions. If you give no reaction, then for the future, your karmas will become zero. You will come into the state of akarma. Whatever is happening with you in the present, this is your prarabdha, destined karma. This means that whatever you did in previous lives, according to that prarabdha you have received this kind of family, these kinds of relatives, these kinds of children or spouse. This is your prarabdha. The karmas you are doing in this life, which are slowly accumulating, their fruits you will receive later. And whatever you do now, its results will come in the future. So, what has already happened, your Prarabdha, or accumulated past karmas, you can do nothing about them now. But if right now you remain in the state of Akarma, then no new karmas will be created for your future. And if in the present you improve your life, then for the future all your sufferings will end. In our country, all religions, whether it is Jainism, Sanatan Dharma, Buddhism, Sikhism, all the various faiths that exist here, every single one of them fully accepts the principle of karma. Even in the world at large, many religions accept only the principle of karma. That is why it is said, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is also the principle of science. So, in family life, if anyone holds ill feelings towards you, gets angry at you, insults you, you should understand it in two ways. First, understand that this is your Prarabdha, destined karma. At some point in a past life, you must have done something similar. Second, see it as this: by giving you these difficulties, God wants to make you stronger. He wants to give strength to your soul. God can give you this strength only if you endure whatever happens to you with patience and grace, without anger, and without holding any ill will in your heart towards the one who has done this. Understand that through them, it is God Himself who is acting. Only those who are closest to you can give you such pain. A stranger walking down the street will not cause you suffering, he is on his own path. But those who live with you, or your friends, they have a connection with you from past lives. By either giving you suffering or showing you respect and honor, they are actually settling the account of karmas with you. Therefore, whatever actions you do should be nishkarm, selfless and without personal motive, done for the good of others. And if someone reacts to your action, in that situation, you should remain as zero, so that the action has no effect on you. If you live your family life in this way, you will not allow any new karma to enter your life for the future. Gradually, you will rise higher in life. Any action that someone performs towards you has a great purpose of God behind it. Understanding this is not so easy for everyone. In the life of Mahatma Buddha, when he was living in his palace, the bed on which he would rest at night was laid with flowers. But his enemies, in secret, would place scorpions among the flowers, so that when Buddha rested there, the scorpions would sting him and he might die. When Mahatma Buddha saw that among the flowers on his bed there were scorpions, he would lift the entire sheet with the flowers and scorpions together, and tell his attendant, "Go and throw this in the forest." He did this several times. One day it occurred to him, my attendant would never place scorpions among the flowers. So, there must be someone who has a selfish interest in either my death or in making me leave the palace. In his great awareness, it became completely clear that God wanted him not to remain in the palace, to leave everything, so that the person doing this could easily claim the throne. He was fully aware of who was behind it, but he took no action and gave no reaction. He remained on the path of Akarma. And in accordance with God's will, one day he left his family and went into the forest in order to attain God. Remaining in Akarma is only possible when you have the deep realization that it is God who does everything. Nothing happens without His will. He Himself will not come directly, but through some person, He will create such circumstances. When this light dawns upon your consciousness, you will feel inspired to walk on the path towards God. This is only possible when you have complete realization that the doer of everything is God Himself, and that He has His own methods for deciding under what situations and in what conditions these things happen. In another way, you should understand that the people you live with in your family, this is not something that happened suddenly or by chance. They have a deep connection with you from past lives. Science has also fully established that every human being is reborn and remains connected with the same family so that they can settle their karmic accounts with their past relatives. This is an account from about 50 to 60 years ago, a true incident. After the independence of our country, around 1948, this happened. The incident was that there was a man who ran a shop. He was about 30 to 35 years old. He had a wife and children. It seems he had some enmity with someone, and that person came and stabbed him near the neck, which caused his death. This incident took place in Indore. About 7 to 8 months later, in Bhopal, a child was born. When the child turned 5 or 6 years old and became aware of things, he said to his father, "I used to live in Indore. There I had my parents, my wife, and my children." At first, his father did not believe him. But when the boy kept repeating these things, his father went, on his request, to Indore to that house. Everything the boy had said became clear. Then they took the boy to that house, and things became even clearer. When his former wife saw him, she also noticed that on his neck there was a mark exactly where he had been stabbed. The boy also told her where money had been kept and where it used to be stored. In this way, it was fully established. When this story reached Mahatma Gandhi, he too was greatly astonished. He himself came to visit this family. He was deeply surprised to see that a person's life is not limited to the one he is living now, it has some connection to his past life. Mahatma Gandhi's perspective changed after this. Scientists also conducted much research on this matter. By now, it has been almost established that our life is a continuous life, and whatever karmas we do reappear before us in our future births. Not everyone remembers their past life. This person perhaps remembered for 2 reasons. 1. he had died young, and 2, he was very deeply attached to his family, and after only a short time, in the same season, he was reborn. The purpose of telling you this story is simply this: do not think that whatever you do with someone will end here. Every act, every deed, will have consequences that you will have to face. Therefore, it is best that while living in a family life, you do only akarma, do not do any bad deeds. And whatever actions, good or bad, someone does to you, endure them and understand, this is my Prarabdha, and God has made it so that I may become stronger in heart. If you shape your life in this way, then gradually you will be freed from your sufferings, and your future life can also become golden. Sometimes, the Lord even makes certain things happen so that you can understand your own depth and improve your life, returning to the goodness you once had. There is a very dear story about this. A man got his son married, and a very virtuous daughter-in-law came into the home. Her father-in-law had once been a great devotee of the Lord. He already had wealth and prosperity, but over time, his wealth grew even more, and he became a very rich man. Whenever excessive wealth comes, vices begin to creep into life. All kinds of indulgences entered his life, and into the lives of his children as well. But the daughter-in-law was very noble. She knew what her father-in-law used to be like before, and she could not bear the great change that had taken place in just 10 or 15 years. She was a high soul, her mind always inclined towards sattva guna, or the mode of purity. Every person has within them all three qualities, sattva guna, rajoguna, and tamoguna. Whichever quality becomes dominant will influence a person's actions, even if they don't wish to act that way. It happens unknowingly, or, in another sense, you can understand that it is God Himself who makes it happen through them. Seeing her family's state, she felt great pain in her heart. She had no shortage of wealth or comforts, but the lifestyle of the people she lived with had sunk so low that it was beyond her endurance. One day, some sadhus or holy men came to the family home asking for alms. The daughter-in-law went to the sadhu and said, "I can give you alms, but whatever I have is stale. I have nothing fresh. If you want stale food, I can give it to you." These words came out of her mouth even though she did not really intend to say them. Her father-in-law overheard these words. He scolded her harshly, saying, "Everything in this house is fresh. Why would you speak such insulting words to a sadhu?" Her mother-in-law was angry as well, and so was her husband. But she bore it all silently. In her heart she was crying, but outwardly she remained calm. When everyone's anger cooled down after a day or two, the daughter-in-law came before her father-in-law in the form of a goddess and said, "Everything in your house is stale. What I told him was not wrong. Look at yourself, 15 years ago, how were you? You had built a temple in this house and used to worship there. Now you do not even go to the temple. The wealth and prosperity you have today is from what you earned in the past, and now you do not even do any auspicious deeds. So tell me, what did I say that was wrong? Because a fresh layer of dust had just settled upon his heart, the father-in-law understood at once how virtuous his daughter-in-law was, and that he himself, intoxicated by wealth, was ruining his whole life. He apologized to her and once again began to live according to the Lord's will. The purpose of this story is simply this: sometimes, because of your past good deeds, a good daughter-in-law comes into your house. Even if you are on the wrong path, she endures and still guides you towards the right way. She herself does not do the guiding, it is God who makes it happen through her. Because she was endowed with sattva guna, but in that moment rajoguna, or the mode of passion, became dominant, she spoke those words to the sadhu. And then, she also showed the family the proper path. God's gaze is everywhere. He keeps watch over you at every moment. If you have good karmas, and even if a little dust settles upon them, then in some way or another, even through a member of your own family, guidance will come to you. All this is simply different forms of the many kinds of karma. Which person does what karma so that you may find the right path, that too happens only by the grace of the Lord. In one household there was a very wise grandmother. She wanted to guide her grandson onto the right path, but for her, this was a difficult task. Merely telling someone to change never works, and a young person will almost never change just because of words. So, the grandmother chose a very clever way. She would prepare kheer or sweet rice pudding for the boy in the morning and place a few dry fruits in one bowl, but in the other bowl she would put nothing. Sometimes she would place just 1 or 2 almonds on top of the boy's kheer. Then she would tell him, "Take whichever ball you like and eat." The boy would take one ball, eat the kheer, and find only 2 almonds on top. Then he would notice that the kheer his grandmother was eating was full of almonds. He asked her, "Why does your kheer have so many almonds?" The grandmother replied, "I had placed both bowls here and told you to take whichever you liked. You selected the one with only 2 almonds. How is that my fault?" The boy stayed quiet. This happened daily. He would often see that whatever he picked had no almonds, and the almonds were always in the grandmother's bowl. One day he became very frustrated. He said to his grandmother, "Whatever I choose always turns out wrong." The grandmother replied, "That's because you don't take the Lord's guidance. If you take the Lord's help, you will find abundance in your life too." The boy asked, "So what should I do?" She taught him the method of meditation, gave him a mantra to chant, and then told him, "Whatever you do, do it according to the will of the Lord." Finally, she asked, when you sit to eat kheer, who is in front of you? He said, my grandmother. She asked, how much respect do you have for her in your heart? He replied, I see her as the very form of God. The grandmother said, if you truly see me as God's form, then ask me which bowl of kheer you should take. Then whatever I give you will surely be full of almonds. The boy understood, if he asked before taking, he would get the bowl filled with almonds. Then the grandmother explained, leave everything to the Lord. Whatever He gives will always be abundant. Just as I will never give you kheer without almonds, in the same way, if you love the Lord, He will always give you the bowl full of almonds. Thus, while living in the family, the grandmother turned her grandson toward the Lord, taught him devotion, and filled his life with abundance. Sometimes in life you must adopt certain methods so that you can lead others toward God. Merely words alone cannot change anyone's path. There is also a very interesting story from my own life. About 60 to 70 years ago, my ancestors had a small house. For some reason, I could not live in that house, so I rented it out. At that time, the rent was 50 rupees to 60 rupees a month. The man I rented it to died after 5 to 7 years, and his wife came to me and said, please don't evict me, I have no support. I said, you can stay as long as you like. She continued living there. She had 2 children, who gradually grew up. In 8 to 10 years, by God's grace, her children became well settled and even got connected with politics. They became quite wealthy. Then I said to her, now please vacate the house. But by then her attitude had changed. She said, I will not vacate it. Do whatever you want. My friends advised me to file a case against her, but I did not have the heart to do it. I didn't. A year or 2 passed. One day I thought, she won't vacate, and if I sell the house, I won't get much for it. If I sell it to her, she says she will give only 5,000 rupees and leave it. Then the Lord gave me an inspiration in my heart. Next to this house was a Gurudwara. I thought, why not donate this house to the Gurudwara? Once it becomes their property, they will easily get it vacated. I went to the woman and said, why don't you buy it? She said, I won't. I'll give 5,000 rupees. I replied, if you don't buy it, I'll donate it to the Gurudwara. The moment she heard this, she was shocked. How can you do that? I can still manage to deal with you, but if it's a religious place, they'll throw my things out the very next day. Since the property is yours, if you give them the papers, I'll be on the street. I said, then give me the real price and take it. I'll even reduce it for you. At that time, the property was worth 3 lakh rupees. I told her I would give it for 2.5 lakh rupees. She said, "No, I'll give you 3 lakh rupees." She paid me 2 lakh rupees right then and 1 lakh rupees later. I told her, "Just a while ago you were willing to pay only 5,000 rupees. She stayed quiet. When she realized that a religious place would vacate her instantly, she agreed. The moral of this true story is, in life, if you are willing to give something up, if you practice renunciation, then you receive complete wealth in return. Renunciation is a great method in life. It is a high state of being. Even while living in the family, if you carry the feeling of sacrifice before your family members, their love for you will overflow. Whether in family life or in spirituality, you must live in the state of right karma. Whatever you do, do it for the welfare of others, without selfish interest. The more you live with the spirit of renunciation, the more your spirituality will grow, your consciousness will develop, your actions will become auspicious, and you will naturally remain in the state of non-doership or Akarma. Then you will be happy both in your family life and spiritually. In time, your life will become golden. If you can bring this method into your life, non-doership, the spirit of renunciation, and doing good for everyone, then your spiritual life will be elevated, you will succeed in family life, and you will reach the Lord peacefully. And the Lord too desires that all your actions be in the state of Akarma. There is no state greater than this. Thank you.